a slip in there if you fill it out. It just, so we can send you a thank you for cheating reading. Please turn off your cell phones so that it does not interrupt with the service. And our 1-minute reader is Del Seiler, and our guest musician is Bill Hoffman. Del?
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bill. Where did that blast from the past come from? There were so many good choices, the one before and the one after November 13th, but I settled on November 13th because it just seemed to be so much more appropriate than any of the other things that have occurred to all of us, especially this week. And I wanted to share this with you. Awaken to prayer power. Philippians 4:6. Have no anxiety about anything, but in everything by prayer. With thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. The basis of prayer power is faith. Faith in the presence of God, the activity of God, and His and her willingness to respond to our prayers. Some say, I don't know how to pray. But really, prayer is simple, of turning away from outer conditions to an awareness of the Spirit within, an awareness of oneness with it, with that capital I that we all love. We are told that every thought is a prayer. Therefore, it's not necessary to speak when you pray. Just trust in the presence of good and believe with all your heart that God is ready to answer even before you ask. It does, however, help to concentrate on prayer when you talk to the Creator, remembering to give thanks that His Spirit will always take care of your needs in the best way for all concerned. Paul puts much emphasis on prayer throughout his epistles, even exhorting his followers to pray without ceasing, constantly praying, leading us to the conclusion that it is a power to believe in and to use often. Now, here comes the audience participation part that you were all looking so forward to. Father, I give thanks.
Father, I give thanks.
And rejoice that you hear my prayers.
And rejoice that you hear my prayers.
That you answer them.
That you answer them.
I let prayer power work.
I let prayer power work.
For me.
For me.
Margaret Matson, the classic editor of Aspire for many, many years. Thank you. Those were her words, but my sentiments. Have a great day.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Good choice. Our first hymn this morning is number 89, Let's Be.
Let's get started now today.
Good morning to all.
Good morning.
Good morning, Maria.
And good morning also to the folks who are looking at us through our internet connection, our website. The Bible verse that I wanted to share with you today, and we go delving into the Bible to pick out these gems of inspiration that when we remember them and we think about them again, they feed us. They feed us on a level that just ordinary things can't. This is from Isaiah 42:16. I will bring the blind by a way that they knew not. I will lead them in paths that they have not known. I will make darkness light before them and crooked things straight. Well, we're all blind. We're all ignorant. We don't know everything. God does. But we're told that God is going to bring about our understanding, our greater knowledge, our greater ability to see where we should go, where we need to be in our lives, and what we need to be doing, and how we need to be doing it. I will lead them in paths that they have not known. And indeed, sometimes we can have these aha moments, and we realize, my God, that's what I need to do. That's a good idea. Where do they come from? From the source, the only source of all good. He goes on, I will make darkness light before them. And indeed, into every life, there is some darkness. There are those places where we don't know what to do. We don't know what decision to make or which way to go. And here we have assurances, right here, that there is always a way when we turn to the one source of wisdom, the one source of the capacity to enable us to choose the right way, to say the right words, to be in a certain place at the right time. I will make darkness light before them and crooked things straight. These are promises. These are assurances. And they're not empty. They are real. They're truth. There's one source of infinite good, power, joy, love, truth, abundance, health, balance, good in our lives. And we are assured right here and in so many places in the Bible that God will provide them. Our part is to ask. Our part is to turn to Him and to try to listen, to try to be open to the higher way, the better way, the more, the way of greater understanding. We can't do it by ourselves, and we all know that. We have to have this help, and we're assured to get it. We're assured that it is available. We are part of that infinite presence, that all-knowing mind, that joy, that wisdom, that abounding good. We are part of that. But we must draw it to ourselves. We must expect it. We must ask for it. We must look for it. Jesus said, ask, and you'll receive. Knock, and it'll be opened. We don't. We forget. We think we've got to do it all. We have to carry the whole burden by ourselves. Nobody can help. But there is help available. Ask. Ask of that trillionaire, that universal bank account that you have. And it will be forthcoming. The crooked places will be made straight. shall we say our divine science statement will be, you'll find it in your orders of service. Together. God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am the individualized expression of God, and I am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance.
Good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Bill.
This first tune I'm going to do is kind of a celebration of the season, autumn. And it's called, appropriately, Autumn Leaves. Surprise, surprise.
Thank you for bringing the prayer box to the front of the room, and we are going to have a meditation. How often in our lives do we just sit still and be? There are always the to-do lists. There are always the things that have to be done, people that have to be interacted with, things that we need to do. But right now, there is nothing that has to be done. There's nothing that has to be thought about or planned. Right now is a perfect time to be with God. And so we take a deep, deep breath and let it out very slowly. We scan the body, making sure that our faces are relaxed. The shoulders, arms, and hands. Backs, stomach, legs, and feet. We allow the tension to ebb away. And dwell in the silent place within ourselves. That place where we meet God face to face. We touch the face of God. We feel the love of God. We are comforted. We are gently led when we ask. God never intrudes. But if we are fortunate, if we remember, we can invite Him. We can ask for His direction, His protection, His loving support. We never walk alone. Although there are times in life when we feel very much alone, very much separate from everyone and everything else. It isn't the truth, but it feels that way. But right now, let's recognize that the challenges of life, whether they happen to be a worry about finances, or possible work, whether they are a concern for our country, or our next door neighbor who's having problems, whether it is our health, our interpersonal relationships, or anything else. We turn to that one in expectation, in thanksgiving, in a sense of gratitude that although our five senses tell us that we are separate from others, no matter how close, no matter how much loved we are, no matter how much we love, there is always the one, the all, the life, the truth, the wisdom, the peace, the creativity, the good that God is right now within us and all around us. Yes, we're several weeks away from Thanksgiving, but we know that we have so much to be grateful for. Counting our blessings. Counting our blessings begins to help us remember that we are never alone. All is within the reach of mind and heart. This day we reach, we ask, we knock, we seek, and we know. Gratefully, we know that God responds in exactly the way we need. In the 90 seconds of silence that we are going to have right now, let us first feel gratitude for our assurance that we are known and loved, that we are helped, that we are inspired. And then know that whatever is needed is coming forth. Come unto me, all ye who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. We have rested in that presence. We have taken time just to be what we are, His children. We give thanks, both for ourselves, for all those who are on our Valley Community Church prayer list, for all those who are in need this day. We give thanks that God is and God responds. We have but to reach out, to ask, to knock, to seek. And that wondrous response will take place. And all truly is well. Everything is all right now. And we thank you, beloved God, that it is so. Amen. This morning I'm going to be talking about, and God said. Well, those are among the first words in the book of Genesis, in the Bible. God said, let there be light. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. And God said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear. And on and on and on it went. Now this beginning book, this first book of Genesis is so rich with meanings, but the verses that speak most loudly to us because they define us spiritually can be found in 126, the 26th verse, where it says, and God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion. The man who wrote those words was a refugee. He was a refugee from Israel, taken against his will to Babylon. A priest, a scribe, perhaps, we don't know. But that man had experienced illumination, because those words must have come through such an experience where God spoke to him. Those words were spoken to him, and he wrote them down, and they have become one of the greatest gifts ever given to humankind. We are God's image and likeness, and we are inseparably a part of him, and nothing and no one can ever change that. But that wasn't the only time that God spoke to human beings. He spoke to Abraham. He spoke to Moses. He spoke to Jewish prophets, simple men, sophisticated men, all. He certainly spoke to Jesus, yes. And he spoke to Melinda Elliott Kramer, the founder of the mind science. God spoke to all the founders of the great religions of the world, all the great saints, the seers, the spiritual seekers down through the ages, as well as just ordinary people, sometimes completely out of the blue. God spoke, and they couldn't help but hear. But these days, with the sophisticated medical techniques that are being used in our hospitals and in many other places, God has spoken to a number of people who have had near-death experiences. They were people who not only had near-death experiences, but who survived them and remembered certain things about them, certain important things. It's interesting, when God speaks, unlike the words in Genesis seem to suggest, he does not use words, of course. Verbal communication really is a very limited way of conveying ideas. God's communications seem to come in full concepts, these glorious, true, loving concepts. It's left up to the recipients of these downloads of knowledge and wisdom and understanding to try to fit them into the structures of human language. And they find this terribly difficult, understandably. But even when a little bit can come through to the rest of us, just a small portion can come through. And these spiritual communications are so uplifting. They're so helpful. They have the ring of truth about them. And sometimes we come to feel that those words were meant just for us, not for that person alone, but for us too. I've been reading the accounts of near-death experiences for many years. And many of them have similarities, but strong similarities. Like going through a dark tunnel and then meeting up with either a being of light or a great, wondrous light that is full of love for them. They talk about joyful reunions with friends and the family, of gardens and perfectly beautiful landscapes with colors that are so infinitely more vivid and vibrant than anything on earth. They have written about speaking with wise people, of hearing music and singing that's indescribably beautiful. And among the many who have had such experiences like that, there really is a small percentage that remained in the near-death experience long enough and who rose high enough to go to what they call, not my word, their word, to go to the core. And the core was where they communicated with God himself. They asked questions, and instantaneously, they were filled with the answers to those questions. Now, through the years, I've read accounts of these people, these relatively few people who have actually experienced God, talked to God. And it never fails to amaze me that so many of the truths that they have learned from God dovetailed perfectly with what Melinda Kramer realized when she had her profound experience of illumination. She didn't have just that one morning of knowing the presence of God. No, there were subsequent experiences as well. And today I wanted to talk about some of the similarities between what she said and what those who have talked to God in near-death experiences have told us. In her original experience of illumination, Mrs. Kramer said that her realization of the presence of God, and I quote, was more than personal. It was omnipresence. It was so real and so vivifying and illuminating that I became it. I realized it to be my life, my being, my health, knowledge, and power. All are embraced within one eternal God and Father, one infinite source and cause. That hour was the beginning of my realization of the oneness of life. I now understand the at-one-ment of the whole, the Creator and the creation. Now, what have near-death experiences said about this? PMH Atwater said, God is everywhere because nothing exists that is not a part of God. There, it's together. God is neither a man nor a woman nor a thing. Life itself is God. Perfect. Mellon Thomas Benedict. All creation is God exploring God's very being through every way imaginable, through every one of us. Lovely. Dr. Diane Morrissey said, God is in everyone, always and forever. Oneness. Dr. George Bedonia, he agrees with them, and he says it very simply, succinctly. God is everything. Like our cornerstone, God is all. Now, certainly there are people who have had near-death experience that came back from that experience convinced that they are not just their bodies. There is another dimension, not with that, a non-physical dimension. Their consciousness, this non-physical dimension, their spirit continues eternally. They truly are spiritual beings using a physical body. And after that revelation, they're forever free of the fear of death. What a blessing that is. What did Melinda Kramer say? Let us lay hold of the allness and everywhereness of God and prove that life is eternal, that it is now what it shall ever be. Let us live in the present and know that now never ends. And she ended that paragraph with an affirmation. I am life exempt from death. I am life exempt from death. Now, Mrs. Kramer also had what we would call today an out-of-body experience. That's not how she described it, but listen to this quote of hers. She recounted this in harmony. That was a magazine that she founded. As soon as I laid my head upon the pillow, I consciously withdrew from the body and looked at it lying upon the bed, and realized it to be a thought in God's mind. A thought in God's mind. In other words, she realized the truth that she wasn't just that body lying on the bed. Her body was a thought in the mind of God itself. And her consciousness was part of the consciousness of the universe. And that's the truth of us, of course. There have been any number of accounts of people who saw things when they were unconscious, when they were being resuscitated, when they appeared to be comatose, or even seemingly dead. There's a verified account of a woman who commented to a nurse about the new plaid shoelaces the nurse had been wearing when the patient was unconscious and being resuscitated the day before. This woman said, "I was watching what happened yesterday when I died. I saw your shoelaces. I was up above." Very clear example of being separated from the body and still being conscious, fully conscious. There was a Russian doctor who died, and he floated gently into the next door, the neighbors, where a newborn baby wouldn't stop crying. The child had been born just a couple of days before. And he saw that the baby boy's arm was broken. He talked to the baby. The baby said, "It hurts. I hurt." Well, he was laying there, I guess, on a slab or something. The doctor came in to do an autopsy on him to find out what had killed him. And he noticed that the Russian doctor's eyes were flickering, and he opened the eyelid and shone a light in there, and the pupil reacted, and he said, "Intensive care unit, right away." Well, the man survived, the doctor survived, and as soon as he could, he told the parents next door about the infant's arm. And sure enough, the child's pediatrician agreed with his out-of-body diagnosis and set the child's arm, and the child stopped crying. Oh, there are so many quotes from near-death experiences that fit so beautifully into our divine science principles. Now, let me just share a few of them with you. Sandra Rogers said she learned that God created differences in religion because of the different lessons we all need to learn. That's what God said to her. God said to Jane Smith, "There is no such thing as sin. There are only mistakes. Everything is a learning experience. We are here to make mistakes in order to learn and grow from them." This is another. The belief that we are separate from God is the only real sin. P.M.H. Atwater said that. And God spoke to Betty Eady. She says, "I wanted to know why there were so many churches in this world." This was the question she had asked. Why didn't God give us only one church, one pure religion? The answer came from God, came to me with the purest understanding. Each of us, I was told, is at a different level of spiritual development and understanding. Each person is therefore prepared for a different level of spiritual knowledge. Each church fulfills spiritual needs that perhaps others can't fulfill. No one church can fulfill everybody's needs at every level. How plain and simple and true that is. May Hewlett said that doctrine and creed and race mean nothing. And we could ask, and we could add, I should say, that age, or education, or youth, or sexual orientation, or the amount of money we have in the bank, or whether we've been kind to our father or mother, mean nothing. No matter what, she goes on, no matter what we believe, we were all children joined under one God. All. The only rule is God's true law. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Beautiful. Reverend Howard Storm heard this from God. The best religion is the religion that brings you closest to me. Finally, Juliet Nightingale. This leaves us nodding in agreement. We are souls visiting and experiencing the physical realm in order to grow and evolve into the ultimate light being that is our true origin and final destiny. Our true origin. We are light beings, part of the light of God, part of the love of God, and part of all that God is. Now, I've only had time to touch on some of the wisdom that near-death experiencers have learned from the core. I haven't even begun to touch on the subject of love, which comes into everything, so many of the things that they talk about. Our greatest spiritual teachers, our own divine science textbook, and near-death experiences have so much to say that dovetail, that makes sense. So, we are going to leave that till next week, because I'm going to be talking about this same subject and sharing more of those experiences with you. So for now, let us go within and give thanks. Give thanks that the truths that have been heard, have been understood, the ideas that came through those aha moments, those moments perhaps of near death, those moments of spiritual understanding, those moments of God's light shining in our understanding. We give thanks for those moments because we have all had some of them in some way. We have all had moments when we realized we heard things or understood things or felt things that had nothing to do with just our mental knowledge. They came from God Himself. We are so grateful to find these kernels of wisdom passed on to us from those who have gone to the core and asked questions. Today we give thanks for greater understanding, for wisdom, for God's omnipresence, right here, right now, and forever. Amen.
Amen.
The tune I played earlier was to celebrate the season. This tune, it's because I like it.
That's reasonable.
get lost, you stay lost.
Now it's time for the blessing of the gifts. Would the ushers please come forward? Today, I acknowledge God, omnipresent, as the source of all good, as the source of my good. With this acknowledgement, I accept His will, which is abundance in every aspect of my life. I release all thoughts of lack and limitation, and I am open and receptive to the increased flow of abundance to me right now. I joyfully accept the gifts of life and give freely of the special gift that I am. Through me, God omnipresent blesses and multiplies this gift for all. Thank you, dear God.
If you would, please. I'd do it, but I got this disability thing going on. I work in the government like everybody. Okay.
Now, would you turn to the people around you and say, thank you for your gift to God's work?
Thank you. Thank you. You guys up front, thank you very much. Thank you. Serious?
It's time now for you to pass the prayer basket, and for anyone who would like to take a slip of paper with them with a name on it, and hold that person in the light. The knowledge that God is within them and with them, that all is well. The divine order is unfolding in their lives. No one has to do this, but if you would like to take part, you are invited to do so.
Okay, last week you got no announcements, so sit tight because you got a lot today. Hope you don't have any place to go. Well, first off, I want to thank everybody for last Sunday and all that, the help that we had throughout the process, especially Maurita and Ann and Bob Dieter and Laurel and other and people that passed out fires and everybody. We really appreciate all the help. I'm sure everybody enjoyed it. We had some really good feedback about it. And the church itself, after all the expenses and everything, it's between the ticket sales and the book sales, we made close to $1,000. Which is a good thing because our insurance for the church went up about $1,000 this year. So anyhow, but we really appreciate it. We had 80 books. We sold 46. Means we have 30 some left, so if you want to buy one or two or three, give them for Christmas presents, we still have those for sale. I have them over next door, so let me know.
That they've been autographed.
Yes, they have been autographed. He signed all of those, so if you want some, please let me know. Okay, I know I'm in trouble, but anyhow, it's birthday Sunday. Does anybody recognize this person up here?
No.
We gave it away. Somebody's birthday?
I'm not going to tell you where I got it. Birthday Sunday for November are Velvet, Laurel Reese up here, and Mr. Bill also had a birthday this month. So this thing
I couldn't find it.
Okay, let's see here. Told you about that. Also, next Sunday, gosh, I can't believe it's Thanksgiving already. But next Sunday we will be having, instead of having a potluck after church, we're going to have a breakfast, Thanksgiving breakfast. We used to do this years ago, so we're going back to that. Bob Deere has so nicely offered to cook breakfast for us.
Wow.
So it will be between 9 and 10:30. Right now, we know we're having eggs and sausage and French toast and I don't know what else, and apples. But right now, so I need to know this week if you're coming. I'll make a call probably Thursday because I'll need to go to the store. So if you're planning on coming at all, please let me know so we'll have enough food for that. But it's from 9 to 10:30 next Sunday. It'll be our Thanksgiving breakfast. And then also, is next Sunday also the service at the...
No, I think it's 2 Sundays. Is that
It's next Sunday,
next?
the 20th.
No.
Because Thanksgiving is that not
Is that?
24th? Yeah. So next Sunday is the 20th. So
Oh,
it'll be-
okay.
so
Yes,
it'll
then there
next
will be an
Sunday.
ecumenical service.
So where is, I forgot what church is going to be.
It's going to be at Covenant Presbyterian.
Okay. All right. We'll make a one call on later this weekend to remind everybody. Let's see here. Okay, as most of you know, Pam Cobbett was in the hospital and she was there for about, 10 days or longer. And she is home. She's recovering slowly. She continues to need your prayers. She's up and about a little at a time. As most of you know, she has COPD. And so if you can send her cards, go by and see her. Also, we were discussing this morning about maybe taking her some food, but some things that she don't have to get up and prepare herself other than put in the microwave. But we also found out that there's some things she can't eat. So we'll get back with you about that right now. I think Tammy Velvet, myself, and Grace are probably going to try to figure out what the church can do for her. But we'll let you know. But send her cards and if they call her or whatever. Because she really needs all of our prayers right now. So that's being said, we have another one. Mr. Jerry, as some of you know, is having open heart surgery. Is it Thursday or Friday? We don't know for sure. Thursday. So he will be in the hospital for at least a week or longer. And when he gets out of the hospital, he's going to need somebody to come stay with him for, a week or two weeks or something? 1 week. So after he gets out of the hospital, we're gonna be making calls, and anybody has some free time to go by and stay with, because Karen's got to work after, she can't be off for forever. Though she'd probably like to be, but so anyhow, we'll need some help with that. And so we'll let you know later on. But anybody that has some spare time that week after he gets in from surgery, and keep him in prayer because we know everything's going to be just great. Okay. That's also next Saturday. As some of y'all know, we have what we call the BCC moving crew around here. So our friend Kathy back here, sitting next to Pam, to Grace, she's moving next Saturday, and some of us are getting together at 9 o'clock. Is that correct? To move her. So I know Elton, Valerie, and Wendy, and myself, but anybody else that's willing to help, please let us know. And it shouldn't take us, because we get moving, it takes us 2 or 3 hours and we're done. So if anybody else is willing to help, we greatly appreciate that. Let's see, I'm passing the sheet around again we need people to usher, to be the pulpit assistant, to work in the nursery, do the appointment reading. The same people that are doing it all the time are the same ones that signed up. We need some other people so these people don't have to do, the same 4 or 5 people are on every list. And it gets to be an issue, like, 1 week Ann's supposed to do all 3 or 4 of them. So anyhow, if somebody else would volunteer to do something else, we would greatly appreciate it. It's not if I can get up here and talk, everybody can do anything. So we just look at the list, and anything you can do, we would appreciate it, because it certainly would help. I made myself notes. I hope I got everything. I did want to mention this. I know we made some money from Evan Alexander being here. But last month, and I don't try to drag this out when it happens, I want people to know about it. Last month, Laurel did have to take money out of the savings to pay the bills because we didn't make enough in donations. We have not had any fundraisers this year. Next year, we're going to have some, and I would like some suggestions to have for the fundraisers. I know we usually have a yard sale. We had so much going on this year, we didn't do any other than what we just finished with Evan Alexander. So any suggestions that you have, people really want another coffee house, so we're going to try to work with you all as if we can do at least one coffee house for maybe in the spring or something. But any other suggestions, because like I said, we didn't do any this year, but we certainly do need to raise some money for the church, because there's lots of things that need to be done around here. And we have volunteers that work in the yard, and that's just a ongoing thing. It's like you never get caught up with it. And there's other things that need to be done that we just have put off. So anything that y'all can come up with, we would greatly appreciate it. The flowers this week are for Laurel. So, and we love your little picture. Thank you. I think that about covered everything. If not, I can think of something else for you. Anyhow, Bob Dieter also made the birthday cake today, so come next door and have some birthday cake.
Our final hymn is number 43, Here I Am, Lord, verses 1, 2, and 3.